for these people.
Yeah, and I know it doesn't seem like it with the way I run my show, but my goal is not to actually destroy any of these channels. My goal is to keep them from going to the dark side, and if they go to the dark side, to create a media atmosphere that is so abrasive for sellouts that they actually change their mind and abandon their billionaire funding and come over to do stuff with us. I would love nothing more than a united lefty media sphere where TYT does the content that they did 5 years ago, and a lot of these channels don't move further towards the elitist. They don't try to be mainstream media. I would love for all of them to become totally independent and actually talk about what they really want to talk about rather than running with the corporate media talking points. So, like, for instance, I used to be a huge fan of Kyle Kalinske, but then his mutation, his de-evolution over the last 18 months since Biden took office has been unacceptable to me. I can't watch him anymore. I gave up his show like 6 months ago, which is why I haven't been bodying him quite as much lately. I can't stomach his content anymore. So, but
Yeah.
the idea was never to destroy his channel. The idea was like, no, come over to this side, use your platform to run with like populist left, anti-imperialist, and anti-capitalist rhetoric. And not only will you not go to the dark side, but you'll actually be popular. There's a reason that like Russell Brand and Jimmy Dore continue to grow, but Kyle Kalinske stagnated, TYT is stagnated. A lot of these other channels, Sam Cedar's been dead in the water for over a year. The reason that those channels don't grow is because your message isn't populist, it's elitist. And I've been trying to convince these people, you know, sometimes I try to just outright convince them, but sometimes I'll even shame them for really bad takes. It's like, no, listen, I don't want to destroy your channel. I want you to change your rhetoric, and therefore you will become more popular and join us. Join us. Become part of this huge apparatus that we can turn against politicians that are corrupt and the corporate media propaganda apparatus. So no, I don't, and it's also not personal. I don't want to take these people down. I don't want to censor them. I want them to speak their minds. But what I would love is that they got rid of the billionaire money and actually said what they really think. I don't want people to do what TYT did. I don't want people to go from a relatively, like, you know, I would say like a moderate leftist position where they're like really vehemently for Medicare for all. They're vehemently for basically whatever everything Bernie Sanders was for. And now they're like 2-3 years later, when they take all that money, they're like almost straight up corporatists. Talking about how homeless people are disgusting and you know, beating the war drums for every war that they could talk about, like Syria bombings and Russia and China. You know, I would love nothing more for people to not go down that path. Join us, ditch your billionaire funding, and you know what? You actually might grow. And if we grow together, then we will have this enormous network of 500 or 1,000 or 10,000 channels that all work behind the scenes together to basically fight capitalism, fight imperialism, and fight our corporate overlords. So I really don't want to destroy these channels. I don't want to combat them at all. I wish for nothing more than for them to just kind of apologize for their Russia gating and for them being wrong on things like the OPCW cover up in Syria, the gas attacks in Doma. That's something TYT just doubles and triples down on constantly. No, just apologize, ditch your billionaire funding, and people will forgive you, and then we can work together. That's what I want. I would love nothing more than for all of us to unite. I don't want to destroy these people. I want them to change their minds.
Yeah, but they're too comfortable, and
they won't.
There is no.
Yeah, they won't.
It's a class.
But you try to get everybody you can.
Unfortunately, it's a class thing, and that gets revealed pretty quickly over time. And that's what we're finding out is who has the urgency to help now and to get things done right now, and who's like, yeah, okay, I understand that you're hurting, but. And it's that but that just you know, because they're not feeling that kind of urgency, and the minute that but comes in,
yep.
That's where we start to have issues.
That shows you immediately where their allegiances lie. It's cut and dry to me. If you are generally this divide happened and it was made apparent with the force the vote debacle. Generally, if you're on the team of this is urgent, we need stuff now, we need action now, you were on board with force the vote. Anybody that was against force the vote generally is status quo defending capitalist who is kind of masquerading as a leftist. And that was a huge dividing line, I think, and it should be brought on by Jimmy Dore, thank goodness. And now we kind of know, like, TYT might talk a good talk on some things, but we know where their allegiances lie. It's with the elites. Same thing with Sam Cedar. Same thing with this whole Breaking Points network, as it turns out. When the rubber meets the road, those people are always going to try to sheepdog people into the Democratic Party or the duopoly, which is a fool's errand. The rest of us are like, no, we're done with this stuff. That was the last straw. And now there's been a rift, but it was a needed rift because in my mind, what we're doing is we're kind of shedding the fat. We're kind of getting rid of the people that pretend to be really for these things, but aren't really willing to fight for them. In my mind, that's like getting rid of the interlopers, the people that don't really want to fight for this stuff. Those are the people that you can never count on when we actually need to fight for things in this country. So you're right. The urgency is just not there for these people because in the end, they talk somewhat like progressives, but they're all about protecting the status quo that has made them a lot of money, protecting their current situation the way that it is as a rich person. So yeah, I don't have any faith that those people are going to change. It would be wonderful if for instance, Kyle Kalinske could come out on his show and be like, listen, I founded the Justice Democrats. I'm really sorry. It's an abysmal failure. They're not doing anything for you. I'm sorry that we even tried it. But here's the thing. I'm not going to ask you guys to donate to them anymore. I would implore you not to donate to any Democrats anymore until they get us X, Y, and Z. And on my show, I will be totally critical of all of the people that I helped get elected. And I will use my platform to promote things like direct action and mutual aid. If he did that, I'd be like, dude, we just got Kalinske on our side.
We come running back. Dude, honestly, many of first of all,
that would be great.
Come running. We would say, yeah, that's awesome. We'd be skeptical if we heard it, honestly, but that's what would bring people back. That's 2016. Fuck those guys. They're the establishment now too. They turned us around and we put our hope, our money, and our time into them, and they wasted it. So now we need to move on. I mean, some of us have been there for a couple of years already. We realize that they're not here to serve us anymore. They're here to serve the Democratic Party because they have that D next to their name. And somebody got in their ear and said, if you do this and you attack other Democrats, it makes you look bad as a Democrat. They say, what are you doing? What you're doing is holding the people in your accountable party and your party accountable, okay, and trying to make your party better and less corporate affiliated and more aligned with the people. And anytime you're doing that, there's not a problem. It's the donor, it's the class war.
And if we had